I have no idea. I have no idea what went on here. This was a wild, wild, wild adventure. All right. So after a fun morning and early afternoon of technical difficulties.
Take a second.
Yes, there is a little bit of a lag, everybody, because of what we're doing here with restreaming and using Mingle as the host. So just we're aware of it. We know there's kind of a lag, so just be patient. And again, thank you everybody so much for your patience, because this is much later than I would have liked for this to start. So definite apologies on that front, but we are trying to do something new and revolutionary and cool that enables and fosters stronger communication between everybody who attends today. And so hopefully it was worth the technical difficulties and worth the delay. And so I'm going to try to pack as much value as possible into our time together here, given that we're a little bit behind schedule, but you will still get everything that you came here for and more. First of all, again, thank you so much for your patience. Big thank you to Jake for helping me out all day today with all of the technical components here. I just said to him, which you may have heard or you maybe didn't hear, I would have been lost a million steps ago. This is way, way over my head with some of these technicalities. So really, really appreciate all of the help and assistance and troubleshooting. So I'm just so glad that you all are here. I'm so glad that you're here. There are so many different places to hang out online. There are so many interesting events and audio rooms to join. So I am extremely grateful that you chose to take time out of your busy day to be here with me. And so it's my great hope that you leave with some enlightening tidbits that you can carry forward into your strategic planning for the rest of the year and beyond. And so for those of you who feel comfortable doing so, please consider sharing to your network that you're attending this event. We're on LinkedIn and we're on Mingle, and we're going to be facilitating the Q&A and the networking after the fact through Mingle. So go ahead, take 2 seconds while you're multitasking on this event to sign up. We're going to pivot there after I do my educational portion here. And so really be thinking through when I'm presenting if you have any questions or things that what I'm saying maybe jogs in your mind, because this is going to be a really collaborative session. I want to help as many people as I can, address as many relevant questions as possible. So if you think anybody in your network might benefit from this event, go ahead, take 2 seconds and consider sharing it to your feed so that those people have the opportunity to benefit from this free information as well. I am going to offer a brief introduction of myself. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, those of you who are can go ahead and top off your coffee or your lemonade. So who I am and what makes me qualified to tackle these topics today. My name is Katie Goldhagen. I'm the founder of Golden Hour Media and Strategy. We're a boutique consultancy focused on bringing new strategic and marketing solutions to our clients. And so I'm passionate about great marketing. I'm enthusiastic about bringing great ideas to life for my clients. And my insights are backed up by 14 years of marketing experience across the board. Most recently, I served as Director of Strategic Communications and Marketing at my prior firm, where I managed and oversaw the development, planning, design, and execution of all aspects of the firm's marketing, business development, brand presence, identity and voice, public relations, the complete spectrum of the firm's communication, thought leadership, content creation, email campaigns, social media, websites, webinars, conferences, live events, and overseeing strategic partnerships. So if you saw me reading my notes just now, that's because of course I was. There was so much that went into that comprehensive role. And so based on that, you can tell that I'm very well versed in all aspects of marketing, sales, and business development. And additionally, my journalistic background enables me to approach everything that I do in marketing with this unique storytelling lens that puts people at the center of the story and the messaging. So like I said, during today's event, if you've got a question or something that you'd like to share, keep your questions until the conclusion of the first part of the session here, and I'll, bring you up on stage. You can ask your question, and we can have a nice conversation. So today, as you know from the title, I'm going to be discussing some simple marketing mistakes that are easy to avoid. I'm going to touch on how to remedy them, how to avoid them altogether, and how to spot that that's the direction that you're headed so you can course correct even earlier. And so I'm going to give a few very concrete examples during the conversation today, but I urge you to remain open-minded because there's different ways that these problems might manifest in your own organization. And by knowing that, you can really get the most out of today's session because you won't just have these examples, you're going to carry forward this lens for finding these problems, and that spans far beyond just the handful of concrete examples that I'm going to identify, okay? All right, let's dive into it. So the first marketing mistake that people make, living by the phrase, but that's the way that we've always done it. So this is a death sentence. You must always be open to trying new things and exploring different avenues to get your message across. Companies who do not adopt to changes in the world tend to get left behind, and this is no different in the marketing space. There are always new advancements and improvements, many of which can be better than the way that you've always done it. So don't be against change just for the sake of being against change. Be open to new ideas because something there can open a door or unblock something in your strategy that has been giving you issues for a really long time. And this is something that I come across often with my partners and with prospects and with clients. They actually know the right move to take in the marketing space when they come to me. They already know it, but they just don't because they're living by this model, but that's the way that we've always done it. And that new thing that wasn't always part of the strategy, and so therefore we can't do it. Says who? All right, the second marketing mistake, and if this is kind of tied in with the first one, this is failure to pivot. So something that has worked in at least one other place is a much warmer starting place than something brand new. Now, we've all worked somewhere where we continue to amble down a path even after we had plenty of evidence to show when something wasn't working. Don't be like this. Don't do it. Be nimble, be flexible, be agile with your strategy. It isn't carved in stone, and thank goodness for that. I have a whole article on my site and on LinkedIn talking about the importance of pivoting in marketing, so go ahead and check that out as well if you want more on this topic. And so, like I said, something that worked well or resonated somewhere else in your strategy could be pivoted and applied somewhere else. So, for example, something that worked well on your social media accounts might make a great list email to your audience. Maybe you can convert some of your greatest short videos from TikTok using a transcriber tool to make quick blog posts for your site to really help build up your backlinks and your Google rankings. So see, there are plenty of different ways to use content in other ways than how it was originally created. Okay, another marketing mistake, failure to diversify or putting all of your eggs in one basket. So when all of the regulatory hubbub started happening with TikTok, I heard so many concerned business owners who were just frightened and terrified because they had built up their platform and their following on TikTok, and they were now watching their livelihood hang in the balance. Don't end up like this. Work to build your audience consistently and steadily across a selection of hand-picked platforms. If you don't know what this means, if you don't know what hand-picked platforms means, then we should have a conversation. But to continue on with the TikTok example, if you're a business owner or a personal brand who has panicked because you built your main presence and following on TikTok and then you're not really sure what's going to happen with the ban, then some of the things that you could do immediately would be to use a watermark remover tool for those videos and upload them as Instagram Reels or as YouTube Shorts, because those types of short videos are already optimized for the way that people like to consume video content on LinkedIn and Instagram. And depending on the nature of the video, you could also use it on LinkedIn because short video performs very well on LinkedIn. It's some of the highest and most engaged with content on the platform, especially if you're the face of your business and you come across, in a very genuine way. People love seeing that. They love seeing the personality behind the brand. They love seeing behind the scenes of the business. So if you have questions about how to rethink or repurpose your primary content in ways like this, or if you've focused on one social channel and you've really hit it out of the park and you've got this wealth of good content and you don't know where else you could maybe apply that instead of totally starting from scratch, that's something else that we could chat about, because there are so many ways that you already have content built if you are just able to really quickly pivot the format of that content. Another marketing mistake, and this one is a big one. Stop sending ugly emails. Seriously. It doesn't take that much time to spruce up an email, and it looks really bad when you send an email that looks like it's from the year 2000. There's just no excuse at this point. Even if you're sending through the most basic email marketing software, you can spruce it up with a compelling header image, even if that's just your company's logo linking to your website. You can spruce it up with a footer that's a collage of photos from your business. There's all kinds of ways to incorporate complementary imagery throughout your emails. So really taking your emails from something that's blah to something that people are excited to read and open, and they think, wow, that's beautiful when they read through your newsletter or whatever your upcoming events are. That's one of the best ways to convey the value of your message to your audience, is by you first valuing the content that you're putting out. And the way you show your audience that you value your own content is by taking the time when you put it together in the format that you're going to send it to them. So this can be an email, this could be a social post. We can always tell when somebody took the time when they were writing the social post, because the block of text is all broken up. There's emojis thoughtfully scattered throughout that helps break things up for the eye. There's, all of these different things that make it look good. And we like things that look nice. And by treating your message and your content with that respect, it shows the audience that your content is high value and to be respected, and it's something that they want to engage with. So make your emails and your social posts something that's fun and exciting and engaging to read, not something that's a chore. And that's a side tip, because that's a really great way to make sure you don't have people who unsubscribe, that you don't have people who mark your message as spam, that when they get an email from you, they're like, yes, this is awesome. This is just what I was looking for, because they know that every time you send an email, you have a reputation for only sending an email when there's something thoughtful and pertinent and, insightful and thought-provoking and, timely. You really curate what you send out to them. You don't just send an email every day at 8 a.m. because somewhere somebody told you that was a strategy. You could do things in a more thoughtful approach. And so by making your emails and your social posts just more beautiful, more exciting, more on brand, the audience is going to naturally follow along with that. Okay, this one's funny. I like sharing this one because some of these things you just wouldn't believe, but we're always on the receiving end of marketing. And so I think that's something too. People can think that marketing is this ominous, nebulous thing, but we're always on the receiving end of it. Just open up your Gmail or your email box and look at all of the solicitation that you receive all the time. So this next marketing mistake, using merge fields that you never collected. And so this is when you send unpersonalized, personalized emails. So I'm not joking about this. I receive emails from a large, well-known cosmetics company. When I signed up for their emails, they must have only asked me for my email address. So now they constantly send me emails saying, hey, first name, because they're using the merge field for the first name to try to make their message seem more personal to me, but they didn't collect my first name as part of their form when I signed up. And so to me and probably many others, they're getting emails that say, hey, first name, check out our amazing sale. So don't use merge fields that you haven't collected. That didn't make the email look any better that they tried to use my first name and they didn't know what it was. So the way to get around this, if you find that you've only up until now collected email address and you would like to start to utilize a field like first name in your email merge, what you should do to get around that is to send an email to your audience asking them to complete their profile. And when they're on the profile, that is where you will ask them for the fields that you need, and you will make them a requirement. Again, depending on your system settings, you'll make it a requirement. So then you will automatically capture that, field that you need, and you'll be able to use it going forward. And then you'll also change your existing form to now ask for first name. If you think that it's something that you want to use in your email marketing, you collect it now going forward from new people who sign up for your list or sign up to get your downloads, whatever it may be. Okay. Another mistake. This is getting complicated too fast. So this can take a lot of different forms, and you'll be able to see specific ones that may be happening in your organization when you hear the couple of examples that I'm going to give. So this can look like worrying about attribution when you haven't even nailed the basics. There's so many tools out there now that will show you your audience and attribute them if they came from social or from Google search or from LinkedIn or from your email campaigns or because they bought your coaching or your program. There's all these tools that can tell you that, but those tools need volume in order to really work. Statistics, you need to have a statistically significant number to be working with. And so people worry about, well, I don't have these sophisticated attribution tools in place. I don't know where my audience is coming from. Just ask them. If you don't know where they're coming from, just ask them. If somebody gets on an intro call with you, you could say, hey, I'm curious how you heard about us. I'm curious, did you come across our website? Did you get a business card? Did you see my ad in, wherever? And have them tell you. You can attribute stuff. When you're at a very small scale, you can build that natural conversation into your talking points with a new prospect. And pretty soon you'll be able to hear, okay, everybody says website. Okay, website's working. Good. Okay, well, no one said that they found us from that ad. I wonder why nobody found us from that ad. We spent $25,000 on that ad and not one person who we asked told us that they found us from that ad. Maybe we don't need to do that ad. Maybe something about that didn't work. So, I'm trying to make the point here about attribution, right? I'm on a tangent, but you don't need something sophisticated to tell you something that you can go about finding in a very basic way. I know I said to be open to change and open to adopting different tools, but when you're at the volume where that makes sense, there's a time and place where you may be too small for a tool like that to really give you the power that you think that you need. So you can find out what your attribution is and how people come across you organically. And then when you are at a scale, then you will know what kind of a tool you need to implement. Same thing goes with trying to build out an email campaign from scratch. If you're not even comfortable sending out one list email to your audience, you need to get comfortable there first. It's like a crawl, walk, run approach. Get comfortable sending a one-off email when you've got something to say. One-off, we have this new blog post. One-off, there's a new page on the site. Before you start to complicate things and think about what that whole journey looks like. For example, somebody, they sign up for your list and they want to get the download, right? The free download. So that's the first thing you send them. Hey, Katie, thank you so much for signing up. And here's the download that you requested. I hope it's everything you dreamed of and more, right? 3 days later. Hey, Katie, how's the download working out for you? Hope you're getting maximum value from it, whatever it may be. But that can be a complicated starting place. You may know that that's where you want to go, but that's run, right? We need to crawl and we need to walk before we get to run. So, get comfortable and get in the hang of I'm going to send an email. This is what I'm going to send. Don't overcomplicate things unnecessarily up front. Build up your confidence in sending one email and knowing that you could get all the graphics in line and get the copy in line, and then after the fact that you could look at the analytics and understand what worked and then carry that forward into your future strategy. So start there, and then when that gets really comfortable and you're in that good habit and it doesn't feel overwhelming, that's when you start to build out a baby drip journey with just 2 or 3 emails, like I just said. Thanks for downloading the thing. How are you enjoying the thing that you downloaded? If I could be of any further assistance, please reach out, follow me on social, right? Start small. You don't need to think through these expansive journeys. And often when we bring on a tool this way, we're just at the point of needing the tool, but when we're talking to the rep, they're telling us all of these very advanced features, but we're not there yet. And so you're thinking about this 18-step drip journey, and you're so overwhelmed because sending one email is currently overwhelming to you because maybe you don't have some of those things I just talked about. You don't have a header image. You're not a good writer, or you don't like writing. You don't have a good footer graphic. You don't have any collages. You don't even know what to say. You just know you need to send an email. So, don't overcomplicate things. You can slowly build up the momentum to doing this, big email drip journey that a customer or a prospect goes through over the course of 6 months. But start small first, and then it won't feel as overwhelming. And then finally, and this is another biggie, and I saved this one for last because this one happens often, and it's also the most likely to be an expensive disaster. And this is dumping a ton of money into advertising spend without first truly understanding who your audience is. So I'm going to give an example here. This is a hypothetical example, but I'm going to use Netflix because everybody's familiar with them and familiar with their offering, right? And it's a simplistic example for me to make. This isn't rooted in reality or truth. This isn't something that Netflix did. This is just an example to make things simple here. So say you're Netflix, right? And here's how you make this mistake. If you're Netflix and you say, well, it doesn't matter when we have our ads run because since everybody watches TV, everybody is our audience. And that's a misconception because yes, everybody watches TV, children, people of all ages, yes. But who's the decision maker? Who's the credit card holder? Who's the person who's going to be the subscriber who signs up? It's not going to be the child. So it's going to be the parent, right? So if you run the ad during the day, during the children's programming that's on at 1 p.m., the children might see it, but they're with the babysitter, and the babysitter's not the decision maker. The parent who's at work, who makes the credit card buying decisions, is the decision maker, and they're missing your ad because you misinterpret who your audience is. There's overlap within your audience and who your buyer is, but there are also people who are users of your product or service who are not the purchaser, right? And so in this case, a streaming service like Netflix advertising any time of day doesn't make sense. They want to advertise when the people who are most likely to subscribe for the service are going to watch that ad, right? So that's probably if you are an office worker, when you come home at night and you're watching primetime television, or you're streaming at that time of day, right? Or before work, when you're checking what the weather or the traffic is, that's when you're going to be catching those people. You're going to be catching them on their phone. Doesn't matter where the child is at all day. They're not the person, even though the child is going to make use of and benefit from the Netflix subscription that's in the household, they're not the subscriber ultimately. And so there's a lot of honing in that needs to be done when you're going to conduct advertising, because you could really easily make this mistake and sink a ton of money into somewhere because you don't differentiate between the audience as a whole and the buyer as a subset of that audience. So in that way, the ads need to be both targeted in messaging and to the decision maker. We just talked about the cohort, right? Who the decision maker was. Now, what kind of messaging appeals to that person? The kind of messaging that appeals to that person is different, because you have different cohorts within your demographics, right? So you have to make sure that all of those things are lining up, because different people like to be spoken to different ways. Different types of ads resonate with different people depending on their age, their gender, their political orientation, their beliefs, their socioeconomic class, their race, all of these different factors that make us unique and that influence how we view and interpret the world around us are present and need to be accounted for in marketing messaging and in messaging as a whole. So before you go down the road of advertising, I would stress that it's so important to understand your audience like to a T, because if you start throwing money down the wrong path, and it just can get very costly very quickly, especially if you're again at the magnitude that I was just speaking about. If you think the whole world is your audience because the whole world watches TV, there's a lot of ways that you can slice and dice that down. So that is my last tip. We're going to go ahead and open things up for questions and answer in Mingle for everybody who's still on LinkedIn. But before I do, if you're not going to jump on over to Mingle, I just want to conclude this portion by saying I really hope that something here resonated with you. I hope that you got immense value from today's session and that it was worth your time. I'm going to be hosting more events like this one, both similar and different topics. So please stay tuned if that's interesting to you and if you want to see what else I have insights to share on. And so if you're interested in exploring a different approach to your marketing efforts and your growth strategy, get in touch with me. Even if you have an in-house marketing department, like I said earlier, it can be difficult to solve a problem if you're too close to it. And that's where an outside perspective can really be invaluable, so you and your team don't continue to spin your wheels without finding a solution. And then, like I said, if you want to talk more in depth about something that I raised here today, but you don't want to ask a question in front of the whole group, or you've got to drop off, that's fine. Shoot me a DM after this event. We can set a time to connect further. I'm also going to go ahead and put my contact info in the chat in Mingle, and everybody who's on Mingle, feel free to do the same, of course. And again, if you found this session valuable, feel free to follow me and my company page, Golden Hour Media and Strategy on LinkedIn, and then you'll be the first to know when I share relevant content and host other upcoming events that might be of interest to you.